Okay, we're back on tape. Let me just start where you left off, ma'am. You said that you had traveled home, that you were having some sort of a diabetic reaction. You got into the driveway, got onto your grass, and drove slightly erratically for a moment, and that this neighbor of yours, who's a part-time police officer, witnessed you pulling into the driveway and came over, detained you, would not let you leave your car, called the police, ordered his girlfriend to call the police, took your car keys. The police showed up, and at the point we are right now, they were trying to drag you out of the car.
Well, he attempted to pull me out of the car, but I resisted, and I wasn't pulling into the driveway. I was pulling up onto the lawn of my mother's house
Okay,
that
all
she
right,
has here.
okay. And so continue. They started trying to pull you out of the car. You were pulling back, and you said you didn't want to get out because of the embarrassment and all the people who were there who had gathered. Did the police make any effort to keep people back?
No, he did not.
So
And
anybody who
that's
wanted to walk up could get right into the middle of the scene.
and that's what I felt that he was not a good police officer because he did not tell people to go back into their homes, and so I kind of thought that maybe he might not be a good police officer because of that, and that I was dealing with a police officer that was not good. He was a bad police officer.
Okay, so he would not tell anyone to stay out, stay clear, get back. I'm handling a call. He had people walking through the crime scene.
Exactly.
Okay, so how much resistance did you offer in terms of not getting out of the car, and tell me what the result was?
Well, I just pulled back from his grip because he grabbed my shirt, and I pulled back, and at which point he let go of his grip, and I had a few minutes to gather some courage, at which point I stood up, and when I stood up beyond him, at which point I had to turn around to face him, at which point called other officers immediately, and he had them chain my feet, and he handcuffed me.
And they chained your feet to the handcuffs?
No, they took like some sort of like if you see on TV they chain people's feet, their handcuffs on the feet.
Uh huh.
They have a chain that goes in between the handcuffs,
Yeah, yes.
but they're feet cuffs. I would imagine that they're called. And he had the other officers put those on me.
Okay. And what did they do next? And were you injured in any way?
Well, he started bearing down on my left shoulder, and I told him that I have a frozen shoulder and that I have cysts in my breasts. I have cysts in both breasts, and I said that he was hurting me, and he said too bad, and he kept pushing down on my shoulder.
And did it appear to you that he was intentionally trying to inflict pain on you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And were you in some pain at the time?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I told him he was hurting me.
Okay. Were other officers within enough distance to witness that you were in pain and that you were requesting that he discontinue hurting you?
Yes.
So, how many officers do you think would have heard this? All of them? Some of them? And if
All
so,
of them.
okay, all of them. All right. And no one gave you any help or relief?
That's correct.
Okay. How long were you kept in a position where you were in pain?
Um, for about 10 minutes, at which point he threw me into the cruiser, and I hit my head on the opposite door of the cruiser, in which he hurt me again, hurting me at that point again.
Okay.
And he
Did the
called,
officer push you into the car to the point that you hit your head?
yes,
So he shoved you in through in one door to the point that you flew all the way across the car and struck your head on the other side.
that's correct.
Okay. And did you collapse after that? What happened? What position were you in after he did that?
Well, he shut the door on me, and I had my feet up against the door, and I was trying to relieve my head from the pressure of what I hit it on, and so I pushed up against the door to try to raise my head off of it, and at which point one of my feet slid onto the window, and all of a sudden I heard him saying, "Oh, she's trying to break the window," which was untrue. And I said to him, "I'm not trying to break the window." I'm yelling at him so that he could hear me out of the door. And I'm saying, "I'm just trying to move my head off of what I hit it, it got hit on." And he just ignored me again. So I just let him ignore me. And at that point in time, he called an ambulance.
Okay. Okay. And when he called the ambulance, why did he do that? Were you bleeding?
No, because I guess he was told when he arrived on scene that I was a diabetic by the part-time police officer that lives across the street, because he is privy and has the knowledge that I'm a diabetic. So Lieutenant Carr was told by him as soon as he arrived on the scene, before he even started questioning me, that I was a diabetic.
So he knew this was not a drunk driving incident, and he knew you had a diabetic issue as soon as he got there.
That's correct.
Okay.
And he was, when they looked for the registration in the car, when I told him that the registration was in the glove compartment, and the other officer opened the door to get it, he received a radio contact from Detective Donnelly, telling him that I was in fact a diabetic, and he ignored them both times.
Okay. Okay. And how long were you kept in custody, and did they charge you with a crime?
They never charged me with a crime, and I was kept in the handcuffs um, until I arrived into the emergency room, at which point the nurse told them that they could take them off of me.
Okay. And so you never went to the police station, you went straight to the hospital.
That's correct.
And they never charged you with any sort of offense.
That's correct.
Okay. And did you have injuries from the incidents that you just described?
Well, my skin was, removed, my skin was kind of like shattered because it was peeling. And I had some, slight bruises on my wrists. And, of course, I had a bump on my head. But those are the only injuries that I had, except for the pain in my breast and in my shoulder when he was bearing down on it.
Okay. Okay, I got it. All right. We're going to stop there, ma'am, and I'm going to have a few additional comments for you in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, but before I actually stop the tape, let me just give you my quick assessment. You certainly have a complaint for excessive force, unprofessional conduct, and you may have other charges based on the way that this call was handled and the officer's failure to contain the crowd appropriately and contain the crime scene where he was doing an investigation. I'm going to request the records from the police department of the officers involved, and I'm going to request the relevant policies based on the two issues that I just described. And we're going to stop there just a moment.